So what's up, guys? So this is going to be a more in-depth profile of the new Darklord build that I have, and this is just one of many. I've revisited Darklords. I've been playing a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh in this new format. I really do like it compared to last format. It's still not perfect, but it's enough so that it's made me interested in playing the game again, which is really nice. But yeah, I'd definitely say this right now, I think is way better than pretty much every other Darklord build I see running around. All the other ones are doing things like using these janky diviner cards and heralds and stuff. And the problem with a lot of these builds as well is that they have like 18 different bricks. In this deck, there's only really, other than your Darklords, which are all bricks, which is a bit sad, but only Mizuki is a brick in this deck, and that's not only a brick if you only have draw him with no way to get him into the graveyard. But pretty much everything is a good card, which is what I like about this this variant. Like, you've got so many starters, so many extenders, and it just makes it very easy to put up these really nice boards. So let's go into the Darklord cards. So to start off, we were playing 3 Eggshell, 1 Superbia, 1 Nastum, 1 Amdusk, 2 Indulged, 1 Capricious, 1 Ugabark. Now, one of the things you need to realize is your Darklord cards are all bricks, even Indulge. Indulge is not a good normal summon. So yeah, they're all bricks, and so you really don't actually want them in the hand. You just want to get them to the graveyard as soon as possible. And so most of the time, the only one that you're really ever kind of happy to see is Ixchel, because she lets you dig through your deck for laws and stuff, or dig through your deck for your chaos spaces. But beyond that, you just want to dump these in the graveyard and use their mage effects on the field. So that's why we're only playing 1 of each. We're playing 1 Superbia because she is a good extender if she does come out. Same with Nastin. Nastin is okay as a mage lord on the field. Same with Amdusk. Indulge, you know what, you could take that down to 1. Honestly and truly, you could take that down to 1 and you wouldn't see a problem with it. It's just not a good card. I won't stop saying it. I don't like Indulged anymore. I think she's a terrible card. Locking you into fairies as well. Everything about this card sucks. But no, yeah, the one Capricious. Capricious occasionally is nice because she can like do things like help you out a Dragoon Negate. If you discard a Capricious off or summon an Aston off Capricious, what's going to happen is when that activates, your opponent is going to have to negate that effect. Otherwise, their monster's going to lose a bit of attack, and then you can just run over it. So I actually do like Capricious a bit. And the one Ugabark. Ugabark is nice because it's a searcher. But yeah, we play 1 of each of the Darklords because they are actually all bricks. Those are your bricks in the deck. If you see a Darklord that's not Eggshell, you're not usually in an amazing position. You just want to get them straight into the grave. Then we move on to the rest of the cards. And if you look at this deck, you actually probably would recognize it. It's quite similar, obviously, to the Thunder Chaos and a bit of Dragon Link builds as well, and it's because you abuse those engines. Those are just such good engines for, firstly, dumping cards in the graveyard, and secondly, putting a bunch of free negates on board. So we have our Chaos engine, which is 3 Chaos Space, 1 Valkyrie, 1 Black Dragon Collapse Serpent, 1 White Dragon Wyverburster, and 1 Chaos Dragon Levianeer. So Chaos Space is an insane card. This is going to get you a free Hieratic Dragon of the Heavenly Spheres, plus draw you 2 cards, so you don't actually lose any cards. So it's actually plussing you 2 cards. Technically it pluses you 3 because you actually go into 3 different monsters to get into it, but we can say this technically will plus you 2 cards and give you 3 free seals, which is just, I mean, that's insane. And then also you've got these 2, Black Dragon and White Dragon, which are just nice cards in general. They loop themselves, which is great. Chaos Valkyrie, the main purpose of her is to banish her to send one of your mage lords. She stops you using the effect of the card, but she doesn't stop you summoning it. So what you're wanting to do a lot of the times at the end of your combo is banish her, send a mage lord to the grave, and then special summon that mage lord, and now you have him available for the next turn. So you'll be sending your Nest and your Amdusk most of the time with your Chaos Valkyrie. Sometimes you might want to summon a Delight, for example, if you've got Masquerena and you're trying to make sure your opponent can't OTK you as well. But yeah, that's our Chaos engine, very good engine. And then Chaos Dragon Levianeer, occasionally it will get mailed to the graveyard. That's just the reality of this. There wasn't enough space to play too many because you already have a lot of cards that you don't want to necessarily see straight away. And so Levianeer, you do have to play them at 1, but you can search it with Chaos Space if you really want to have it in your hand. It is good for going on next turn. Now there is space potentially to play a card like Omni Dragon Brotor in this deck. For example, you can remove one of your Darklord traps. You really don't actually need them. I'd say Rebellious. You can get away with not playing the Darklord Fusion. However, I did want the ability to play the Darklord Fusion and play that more grindy Darklord style if I needed to. So that's why I've kept it in. But you could play Brotor, for example, which would let you search your Levianeer after spinning something with seals. Or you could play a Koiki Dragon, Maru Drago, whatever. Stop Light and Dark Summons would also be a good thing to have off of your Heroic Seal, which is really nice. But anyway, yeah, moving away from that, we then have our normal summon starters. So what are our normal summon starters? We have the 3 Shranui, Solitaire, and 2 Raiden. This is an insane kind of package, and I guess Charge of the Light Brigade goes with it. So, for example, what you need to draw is Raiden, Shiranui, or Charge. You really want to draw Charge or Shiranui, and what this does is basically, if you draw Raiden, you're just hoping you can put another level 4 on board, which isn't too hard in this deck. If you draw Shiranui, it's a 1-card combo, and that gets you into this Chaos Reel of the Dark Demonic Dragon, which just has an insane effect of milling 5 cards. Now, the way I describe this to someone else is basically it's the same as if you were able to draw 5 cards, basically, because your cards get value in the graveyard as opposed to in your hand. So it's the same thing. You're dumping 5 cards to the grave. One of them also can be added to your hand, but a lot of the times I'd much rather if that went to the graveyard anyway. But it's just a really nice engine for getting to this. This is your start, and then the second thing obviously is you can resummon this out to use it. So you can use it as link material, then resummon it out and use it as XYZ material to put in grave, which gives you a huge advantage to turn after that, where you can keep summoning it out, which is just really, really nice, so it doesn't get banished off its own effect. But yeah, that's kind of our normal summon star engine. Then moving past that, we then have kind of the more bricks of the engine. So we have the Unizombie, the Mizuki. These aren't ideal to draw, but it's not the end of the world, especially if you draw them together. It's really not the end of the world, but it's unlikely that you're going to be in a hand where you draw these and you can't do anything. But yeah, moving on to the spells and traps. So Darklord spells, we play 3 Contact, 3 Banishment. They're just good. Searcher, Monster Reborn. To be honest, in this variant, you could probably get away with just playing 2 Contact and maybe playing a World Legacy Succession or something instead. You really could in this deck because you're just less reliant on your Darklord Contacts, especially because you're milling so much. But in any case, yeah, 3 Contact, 3 Banishment. You've got your 3 Allure as well because you've got so many targets and you really want to dig through your deck. Reborn, just a good extender for your deck, and 3 Charge of the Light Brigade. This card is insane because it's going to dump 3 cards to the graveyard, which means you've got a pretty good chance of dumping a valuable card there, and it's going to put the Raiden in your hand, which is kind of just going to dump another 2. So I mean, those ideal scenarios obviously in this deck is sometimes you'll activate Charge, mill 3 cards, normal summon Raiden, mill 2 cards, go into Chaos Reeler, mill another 5 cards. That's 10 cards you've put into the graveyard. It's impossible that you wouldn't have put something valuable there that is going to help you extend your plays, which is what makes this variant so good. Then we've got 3 Chaos Space. This card is just insane. Like I said, this is basically a free seals without costing cards from your hand, or at least it costs cards from your hand, but then it regenerates the cards at the end of the combo when you use the baby dragons. So it's just really, really, really good. There's very rare situations where I won't start with this if I have it. The other nice thing about the baby dragons is that obviously their summoning condition is to banish the card, so when your opponent has things like Winder and such, this lets you get into your extra deck a lot quicker and without having to kind of get chain blocked by Winder stopping you special summoning, which is quite nice. And then we play the 3 Darklord traps. The value that this brings, and this is why I think Darklords does still work with this, and I'm not just playing Dragon Mingle, Thunder Dragon Chaos, is that Darklords do have very good traps. Their traps are insane. Non-targeted negation, this outs anything. Non-targeted destruction, again, this outs a lot of back row, and this can out front row as well. And you've got that really good fusion spell. Just a good card in general. This is probably a deck where you could play Super Body in the side deck and play like Starving Venom and stuff as well if you wanted to, but I just happen to not. But no, yeah, that's the main deck. 40 cards, couple of different tweaks you can make to this. I would say give it a try, see how the combos feel to you, and then you can tweak it to more address how you want to play the game. Now, moving on from that, we then have our extra deck. So the extra deck, again, it's really about abusing those kind of those free extenders you're getting from your dragons, from your chaos monsters, and all of that, and just kind of spitting out a seals plus random good stuff plus mage lords. It just makes your first turn boards really, really good. So obviously you've got the striker dragon, which you're going to summon via your white dragon and your black dragon, and you've got the heroic seal. So that's the first negate. Obviously you're going to bring it out a lot of the time. Masquerade is another really good card in Darklords because they spit out materials so easily, and so you can just consolidate into a Masquerade and then use this next turn to go into an Appaloosa or something if your opponent is trying to get a bit too cheeky with you. Then you've got your 2 Condemned Darklord and your 2 Lucifer. These are just generic good cards in Darklord extra deck. There's nothing really to say about this. This searches Darklords. This does a lot of things that are just good. But yeah, we do like these monsters, so it's worth playing them. You can take out 1 Condemned. I would say I'm finding personally that even when the game goes into the grind, I rarely need to go into Condemn more than once. I only ever really go into Condemn to dump Superbia. That's usually the only purpose. Or if I have another card in my hand, I'll use that. I'll dump that. But yeah, it's just not it's not necessarily needed at 2. I just happened to put 2 in because of habit, but yeah, you can definitely go down to 1 of that. We don't have Curious now. One of the big differences between this and the other Chaos deck is Curious. I'm almost tempted to remove it. Don't go into Curious unless you absolutely have to. Basically, the only scenario you should really be going into Curious is essentially specific hands where your opponent has proven already they have Nibiru, and then you want to bring out that Curious early on so that your opponent just so you can dump one of your Mage Lords early on, for example, and then you can link 2 cards into a 2 negate Appaloosa. But this board will be much more subpar compared to the other boards you make, so you don't usually want to go into Curious. It is just kind of an extender that you can use in those situations where you know your opponent has Nibiru and you have to play through it. But yeah, it can even go, to be honest. One of the things that I always say, especially with decks like this, if you're playing a combo or non-meta combo deck like this, you just need to accept that Nibiru is a counter to your deck. You can't always play around it. And so I don't even a lot of times when I know my opponent has Nibiru, I wouldn't even bother going to Curious anyway. I'd rather just do a conservative play and just play around it like that, because you know they have it. It's a counter to your deck. Yeah, you're just going to end up making suboptimal plays if you try and force a deck that can't play around it to play around it. We've got Appaloosa. Appaloosa's amazing. Darklords, obviously, because it's a fairy as well, which is great. Easy to protect with Lucifer. When you get Appaloosa plus Lucifer on the board, that's a really hard board for your opponent to out. It's just a nice monster in general. And then Broadsword Dragon. You put a lot of materials on the board and you can OTK your opponents easily. Then into the XYZ, so Abyss Dweller, very easy to make in this deck because you've got so many rank 4s. We've got our Monster Negate and our Spell and Trap Negate, so depending on what you're against or what you have in your board, you can put either of these out. And then you've got Zeus. Zeus is busted. If you can play Zeus, you should be playing Zeus. Another option is to play, for example, Dingirsu instead of one of these, and then use Dingirsu for going into Zeus, which is nice. In general, it's just a really, really good card. We've got Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Demonic Dragon. I don't think I've ever needed more than one. After you've done it the first time, it's just redundant to summon it again, even though you have the potential to, in terms of synchro summoning it again. But yes, I'd say you only really need one of these in your extra, but it's a really good card. It's kind of a starter for your deck. It sounds silly, but yeah, your goal is really getting to this card, letting it dump a bunch of cut stuff in your graveyard, and then using it to generate advantage. Yeah, just a really, really good card for your deck. And then moving into the side deck, there's nothing really special about this side deck, and I'd say that I'd probably optimize it more after playing on Dueling Book a bit more. The only thing I'd like to say is Hey Trunade is I'm realizing it's a lot better of a card than you'd think, and it's simply because it's the only, other than Lightning Storm, it's the only card that completely outs your opponent's back row, unless they have Judgment, of course, without getting rid of your battle phase. Lightning Storm does, and Harpy's Feather Dust does, but obviously Harpy's Feather Dust is at 1, and Lightning Storm requires you to have no monsters on board. So that's one of the reasons I really, really like Hey Trunade. It really, really effectively outs my opponent. It forces them to activate everything, which basically means that once they've done that, I know exactly what I'm playing into, and I'm never playing into something blind, and then I get completely destroyed by Solemn Strikes and stuff like that. But anyway, guys, this is the deck profile. Don't worry, I'll be having some DB rated games coming out over the next week or so. I do have an Unchained profile coming out today as well, so that's definitely going to be more of those videos coming out this week. But you will see some more Darklord content from me soon, and you'll see some more videos on the channel as well. Stay tuned on Thursday, because the Yu-Gi-Oh show will be coming back on Thursday, another episode. And thank you all for watching, guys.